What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the season three premiere of everyone's favorite Virginia Tech hockey show, The Gobbler Effect, here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. My name is Chris Pierce, and boy, does it feel good to be back and talking Virginia Tech hockey once again. But hey, you thought I was gone? I don't think so. Happy to be back with you for another fun and exciting season talking all things Virginia Tech hockey. As always, with my co-host, also known as the greatest head coach in the history of Virginia Tech hockey, Joey Mullen, back for third season in a row, as well as two very special guests who I just cannot wait to speak to. We have Kayla doing and Jordan Beecher along with us today. And man, it's been so long since we last talked to each other. I think it's only proper that we start things off by not only saying how we are doing right now with the season just ramping up, but also for the newcomers, introducing ourselves, to the new audience members who might be watching for the first time. So, Coach, you've been with us for now this long. I think you should go ahead and start things off.
Good to be back. It was a longer off season than I think we all wanted and anticipated. So got to get with the boys last week and get things kicked off, and they seem pretty focused, pretty ready to go this year.
Yeah, Kayla, Jordan, do you want to kind of introduce yourselves to, Hokie Nation and kind of tell us what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Kayla Dewing. I'm a student at Tech, and I just took over Chris's old spot as Director of Student Operations. I worked with the team last year, but really excited to take this larger leadership role for this season.
I'm Jordan. I'm a senior at Tech, so graduating next semester, which is nerve-wracking, but I'm the director of graphics. So I do all the graphics for the social media team. I did it last season, doing it again this season. It's exciting. We're gonna get a small team of new people join me, so I'm not the only one this year, which is really exciting. Get the team growing. Yeah.
And for reference, these two really helped me last year. They were kind of my people who I leaned on the most regarding all things, off ice. So, I mean, it honestly, I don't know where we would be at without these two, and everybody else who helped on the staff last year. But, now looking forward to this new year, we can't wait to see what you guys, come up with and create to, expand Virginia Tech hockey and grow the brand across, all departments of what you guys do. But enough of that. Let's dive right into why we're all here, and that's talking all things Virginia Tech hockey, and why as well start with the big things that's happened since campus coming back now for the start of the season. Let's now talk about the roster. Coach, I know you had 3 nights of tryouts. You had the first 2 nights, and then the big last night where you decided the team. So my first question to you is, what are your initial thoughts on this year's roster?
I'd have to say that we're probably deeper across the board than we were at this point last year, which is it's always nice to get another good freshman class. I think there's 11 freshmen this year. So a good group, good mix of kids from really all over the place: Virginia, North Carolina, New England, New Jersey had a big group this year. So it's been fun. Get back out on the ice tomorrow and start putting some things in and get some big games coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I know you kind of said that last year how deep that group was, but now you're saying it's even deeper than how it was last year. I mean, what goes into that, and picking the guys you want on that team and really, stashing guys so that you'll be able to depend on them, whenever you can and, figure out these matchups against, tough competition that you're going to be facing this year.
We knew we had probably 4 or 5 guys that we saw at our recruit skate that were coming in. So we knew we had a good start to the class. And then there was an extra like 3 or 4 that just kind of showed up. Nobody had really talked to till real late in the summer. One of the defensemen that came in and really did well in tryouts, nobody talked to him at all. He just showed up. So that's always nice. And then I think with the addition of the second team this year, kind of drew some more kids out. They knew if they didn't make the D2 team, there would be another spot for them to play at Tech, which is something we wanted to do for a long time, and finally just jumped both feet into it and just couldn't really wait anymore for it. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And dude, talking about that second team, the M2A team, now in Virginia Tech's 40th year as a program, now expanding, more roster spots for more guys on the team. What does that feel like as a program now, you have two teams, and now with all these other programs like Liberty, and UGA, having multiple teams to have multiple players on, what does that say for the program as a whole?
I mean, it's just a lot of kids that come to Tech and they play hockey and want to be a part of the program overall. And it's usually brutal for me the last day of tryouts or the last couple of days because you're cutting for the last few years like 30 to 40 kids, and then there's nowhere else for them to play here. It's not like we have the rink on campus where there's rec leagues there, so they would still have to drive here, and it's a lot to put on kids, especially a lot of the freshmen don't have cars. So we had talked about it a lot this summer. We honestly had talked about waiting another year just because we didn't feel like we were completely ready to do this. And then as the list got bigger and bigger over the summer, kids coming to school, we just kind of said, hey, let's just throw it together, a small season, get them enough games to qualify for some postseason stuff, and really just kind of build off of this year and see what happens next year. And it kind of worked out. I think honestly, like from the kids we cut in tryouts, like that team's going to be pretty good too.
Yeah, and now switching back to that main roster in the Premier League, you guys, we talked about all the newcomers. You said you have 11 guys, but you also have a lot of veterans, coming back. A lot of experienced guys like Gavin Peduzzi, Ian Key, Matt Vanieri coming back, who, were seniors last year, but are coming back, for the fifth years you know, talk about that gel, that you're going to kind of expect between, the veterans and the rookies, kind of how, the bond and the culture, grew last year between that and how that rookie class settled in now to this year and how these newcomers have to, find their way in with all these veterans and how, that relationship's going to grow.
I mean, if it's anything like last year, this group gelled really quick together. They've already like been together all weekend as a team, so that's always a good start. A lot of good things said in the meeting after tryouts about the expectations for this year, and it wasn't even led by me. A lot of it was led by Gavin, so that's a great start for him. I know it's his fifth year, and this is it for him. So he wants a big finish. And the nice thing is like for the most part we graduated, I think, or graduated and lost three kids that played almost every game last year. Other than that, the remainder of the team is back. So a lot of experience. I think a lot of experience coming out of postseason last year. That'll be have these guys ready for this year.
And talking about experience, with these guys, all your goalie roster is basically the same from last year. How much does that help, knowing that they now have that experience, especially, young guys like Tucker Forrest, who are going to eventually, with Shane Cook and Ian Key on, going to have to step up next year.
I think it's good. They like, and it's also good for the team. Like we know what we have behind us in the net. Like so, it wasn't like we graduated two or three seniors and we're gonna have to rely solely on Tucker to carry the load because not knowing what you would have come in. But they've all gotten games. We're confident in putting any of those guys in at any time. They all won big all year for us. I mean, we had four losses last year, so they did a pretty good job back there. I think our D got better this year. I think scoring depth got better this year with the kids we had come in. So hopefully it takes a little pressure off like JH and Brian Rice is the top pair and like Doozy's line takes a little scoring pressure on them and let them just be more relaxed when they're out there playing.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned a little bit about, the players, kind of coaching themselves. I know you did that a lot last year, kind of took a step back and let them, figure things out. Are you taking that same approach to this year?
I mean, I think you have to like as long as there's not a need for me to step in and really hammer down on these guys, you just let them run the show in the locker room. I mean, I think Friday will be a really good test to see exactly what we have. But we opened the season last year with a really tough test and ended up going on a huge run after that. So hopefully we get the first one this Friday and just run.
Yeah, and we're excited for that. We're gonna kind of switch gears now over to Kayla and Jordan. I know you guys been sitting patiently over there waiting for your turn. Well, now it's here. Now we talked about things, going on the ice, but we kind of want to know what things go, what happen off the ice, with how you guys, handle all the off-season content, and as well as, during the season. So, I'm just gonna start, you guys can answer in however way you want, but I just want to say what goes into planning a Virginia Tech hockey season? When does it start, and how do you guys manage it?
Well, as you know from last season, that was kind of the first time we really had an off-ice staff. So I think the planning honestly started at the end of last spring semester, kind of getting all these roles filled. We were doing interviews. And like Jordan mentioned, we're bringing in a lot of new people for a lot of different positions, definitely expanding graphic design to kind of take that workload off Jordan. So that started like pretty early on, like in the summer. We had our group chats and everything. And we already had a meeting with the players. They've hung out with them, socialized a few times, really trying to build those bonds to then make things go a lot smoother. But I'm sure Jordan can talk a little bit more about the actual planning because she's probably the person who does the most work behind the scenes, getting everything set for social media.
Yeah, so I probably start planning the next season right after the season ends. Um, gotta I know following Bill's footsteps of doing all the graphics was pretty big shoes to fill, especially since he's a huge part of the team on and off the ice. Um, so he changes each changes like the vibe of each season after each season ends. So coming up with a plan to change everything after the season ends is a really big ask and really big task, especially when you're a student who has like classes. So I definitely good time management skills goes a long way. Um, but yeah, just a lot of research of Pinterest, following different sports leagues and teams on Instagram and I don't have Twitter, but if I did have Twitter, I'd use I'd use that too. Um, but yeah.
And I know Kayla mentioned a little bit, about connecting with, your fellow staff members. How excited are you to work with them this year? Now being, the more experienced ones compared to last year where you were just rookies, not really know what you were doing coming into it. But now, having a full season under your belt, how do you, manage, the new staff members that, are coming in and, and the departments that, that they feature in?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I miss most about you is all of our carpools to the games together. I'm looking forward to that because not only is that a kind of a way to plan what you're gonna do at that game when you're all driving down together, but you listen to music, you're having fun, you're laughing. So that's something I'm looking forward to in terms of like connecting with them. But what's super great about kind of guiding them and no longer being the rookies is we created little department heads, like Jordan's the director of graphic designs. We have Kyle, who's a grad student who we had last season being in charge of broadcasting. So having mentor roles for these younger students is not only gonna like take that load off them and that pressure where they feel like they have someone to look up to, but it's also setting the footwork and the building steps for them to then maybe take that position next year when we graduate. So just like having that mentor role for them and knowing that they have a specific person they can contact. Because again, last year, Chris, you were kind of the head person for everything. And I think now this makes it a little bit more manageable for Kyle to handle broadcasting, Jordan to handle graphics, Sydney to handle photography. Everyone kind of knows who their person is.
Yeah, and going off of that, last season, it was our first years. It was a little nerve-wracking, but we all got really close. And I want to continue that culture for the off-ice staff because I know the actual team that plays are close, and I want to continue that culture for us as well because we're also on the team. We don't play, but we do the behind the scenes stuff. Um, and I just want all of us to have fun. We all joined because we love hockey. So I really want that culture of we love hockey, we love hanging out with each other and doing what we can do best to help the team, yeah, grow.
Yeah, and trying to talk about that dynamic, with not only you guys as a staff, working with the players and the coaches as well. Tell us about like how that dynamic works and how you communicate and you get stuff done, whether with the coaches or the players.
Yeah, I won't lie and say it was a little bit challenging kind of last year, like building that relationship. But I'm looking forward to going to this season, kind of having relationships built with the players already. And I think it's going to be super rewarding to get them more involved in community outreach things or fundraising events, and kind of let them get engaged in more of what we do instead of us just going to their games and doing stuff for them. I think it'd be a really great balance to get them out in the community, out on campus. And they're all super great guys, all super nice. They wouldn't be at Tech on the team if they weren't. So just continuing those positive relationships. They've met a lot of the new staff already. That went well. So no complaints so far about how I see the season going working with them.
Yeah. And I think they they also want to see the program succeed, which is really nice. I think it last year was a little challenging, but this year I think because we have our um footing down that we'll be able to help the team grow, and they're also looking forward for that too, I think.
Yeah, it was like pulling teeth from a baby. Last year, trying to get some of the guys to help us out. But feel like we're more confident this year in that department. Just one more question for both of you guys. We talk about all this exciting stuff coming up for Virginia Tech hockey. We had an amazing historic season last year, including like the outdoor game in Charlotte, where I know you guys had lots of fun. What are some of the things fans can look forward to this season? A part of Virginia Tech hockey.
Yeah, like I just said, looking forward to doing some more community stuff just around Blacksburg, Christiansburg, in this area, to build a bigger fan base of students. Obviously, driving out to Roanoke for the games, it's a challenge to ask for tech students, but just trying to build that fan base and get them out here, I'd say they can look forward to Lancerlot being a lot busier. And then another thing, obviously, the outdoor game, doing that again this year. We're going to do the same marketing for it. Obviously, there's no bowl game for it this year to kind of do that, but we've already started planning how we're going to get tickets sold for that in November. And that's going to be our main focus to make sure that's as enjoyable for fans as it can be.
Yeah, I think Kayla handled that question really well. I think the outdoor game is really exciting. We had a really great turnout last year, and I think just getting that shutout will get more people to come out, which is really exciting. Also getting more people to come to the games. Roanoke is it's a little drive, but it's worth it. They're really fun games. It's a great turnout. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens starting this Friday as we now kind of switch gears to, this weekend where the Hokies, play a home and home against Liberty University, a team who, they haven't faced since the 2018-2019 season and haven't beaten since 2013. I don't know how old you two were, Kayla or Jordan, when the Hokies last beat the Flames. But coach, I'm sure you probably have that right in the back of your head. How, with this gigantic losing, I believe it's 19 games. I think Bill told me in a row that you guys lost to Liberty. How do you guys prepare for this game? Not only is it the first game of the season, but you're kind of igniting an old rivalry with Liberty, who you'll face 4 times this season. So, what kind of thought goes into preparing for this, big game?
I mean, these guys know who they are. I think we just kind of approach it like we did last year. Come out and play our game. Don't worry. Like I think we learned a lot last year about not chasing the game or trying to do certain things against certain teams. But if we can come out and dictate the pace and the style of play that we want to do and have teams chase us, it lends to more success for us. So I think that's going to be the real focus this week is getting some of these young guys acclimated to what we want to do. The nice thing is it's pretty veteran lead led team this year, so there's not going to be a whole lot of like downtime in practice to explain a lot of these things. So just the biggest thing I think for us this year is going to be the mentality to start on time. Like we did that a lot of the year last year and it worked out well. So if we just come ready to start every period right when it starts and not wait 5 minutes to get into the game, then I think we'll have a good outcome.
Yeah, you guys haven't defeated the Flames in over 11 years. Again, the Flames last season, they went straight to nationals, the number 2 seed. So, they kind of have a chip on their shoulder, and they got swept last weekend by High Point, who you guys faced later in the season. Is there any pressure, that you think the guys might face, or any nerves, or maybe overconfidence, maybe, High Point defeating Liberty that, you're kind of worried about, heading into this weekend?
I don't think so. And I think that's kind of our job as coaches to not talk about that stuff and just say, hey, this is our first game. Like everybody knows that they lost. Like, I mean, they're not happy about it. So they're going to come out fired up. So we just got to show up and be ready to play our game. And I think that's really the biggest thing is not worry about the outside stuff, what you see on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. Don't worry about all that stuff. Just come out and show up and play our game.
And talking about the social media side, now switching that over to you, Kayla and Jordan. how do you guys, how are you preparing for this, big game that's coming up on Friday?
I mean, Jordan, you have your post made. Go ahead.
I have all the templates made already, so I'll be working hand in hand with Sydney, the our photographer. We came up with a little plan last season where after every period we would switch what are they called?
SD.
SD card.
SD cards. Yeah, SD cards. And so I would use game real in time game pictures, which I think the fans liked, hopefully. Um, but just trying to create eye-catching graphics to increase engagement for the team. So yeah.
And then obviously we have the game on the 12th, but we have an official media day with the team happening on the 15th, that Monday after. So I think after that day, you're going to be seeing a lot more posts once we have updated pictures and content of the current roster. So especially after that media day, it's going to be pretty fire on Instagram and all the social medias.
That sounds exciting. Real quick, just want to switch over to one topic real quick. I kind of skipped over, but I want to talk about the schedule real quick. I kind of want to spend a couple of seconds on this. It's a, I mean, there's a lot of talk about here, obviously, but I kind of want to get the main points out. You guys are facing some really competitive teams this season with, NC State, UNC, Tennessee, Liberty right off the bat. I mean, this scheduling that you guys have had, it was done on purpose to schedule, these tough games. You got the game against Georgia coming up to, ready these guys. You got Ohio in January, to, give these guys enough experience and, competitiveness during the regular season. So yeah, come the postseason, they're more, prepared.
I mean, it's one of those things we schedule so early. Um, we've been trying to get something done with Liberty for the past few years, and it just hasn't worked out. We had two originally scheduled, and they came back and asked for two more, and it just happened to fit. The outdoor game with Georgia was kind of one of those things that came together this summer. We knew we were going to play another outdoor game. We weren't sure who it was going to be with. Tennessee had reached out, wanted to play. We knew NC State and UNC were moving D1, but they still wanted to play games just because they're so close and so competitive with each other. So that was just natural. With High Point moving up to our division and West Virginia and Wake Forest, knew we'd have those six games right there. Ohio just had we I think we owed them a trip. They had come here a few years ago, so it just worked out this year. Had no idea they were going to be the ones that end our season, and we ended up going there next year. So just one of those things. How it's funny how it works out. But yeah, the schedule's a little tougher, but you never know from year to year. You schedule so early, you don't know who's gonna get off to good starts. You don't know who's gonna have good recruiting classes. So you just schedule the best you can to make it a pretty competitive schedule to help out rankings wise, and then you just got to handle your end at that point.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about those matchups when they come. But for now, we'll see how we do against Liberty, one game at a time. Final question for all three of you guys here for the first episode of season 3 of the Gobbler Effect here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. With kind of yesterday's game, I don't know if a lot of Virginia Tech Hockey fans are, really feeling high right now. But in light of the recent struggles, with VT athletics as a whole, the Hokie fans are in need of something to cheer for. So my question is for you guys, in what way do you envision, the Virginia Tech hockey program, you know, becoming a household name within the Blacksburg, Roanoke communities, and being successful, really promoting that success for more, Virginia Tech fans to notice, in this time of, sad and gloom.
I
I
mean,
just think we got to go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to reference again last year's outdoor game and then the bowl game, how they were back to back. And a lot of people ended up coming to the hockey game because they were in town for the bowl game and they saw that game and our performance. And they were kind of like, oh, I didn't realize our hockey team was like this, you know? And I think obviously not going to try to jinx anything for this year's season or outdoor game. But I think if we keep that momentum up and people realize how legit the team is and they've realized like, oh, we actually do have a hockey team that performs at this level when the stats don't lie or like the awards our players win. Like I think like that speaks for itself and people that live in this area like they should realize that and I think they've really started to do that with the increase in social media the amount of followers that we've gotten just in the last year alone, the increase in engagement. I think that's only just going to keep on rising on how the team performs.
Might be a little
Yeah.
controversial, but we actually have a good coach. So
Yeah, I just think if we can get people in the building and they see it, like everybody that comes and watches loves the product on the ice. Like win or lose, they're good games, fast paced, intense, physical, and it's also the cheapest ticket in town. I mean, $5 a ticket, and kids under 12 are free.
$2 for
Students
student.
are $2. Yeah, like not much else you can do around here for that cheap of a price. So
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens on Friday. Hopefully, we have a good crowd on hand for the Hokies season opener. But that'll do it for episode number 1 of season 3 of the Gobbler Effect here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Thank you all for tuning in and watching, as we will have this going on all season long, so you can catch all the episodes. Don't forget to hit the like button, and subscribe on the channel here. As well. Click the notification bell for live stream and content updates this season. Coach Mullen, Kayla, Jordan. Thank you all again for joining us on this again season premiere of the Gobbler Effect. The Hokies will hit the ice this Friday as they welcome the Liberty Flames for the first of a home and home series. Friday at the Lot, Saturday up in Lynchburg. Friday's game starting at 7:30 here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Kyle Bean will be there on the call. Until then, we'll see you all next time. Go Hokies.